Your life will never rise above the words you whisper to yourself, so speak like someone who is destined to win. My dear friends, we talk to the world all day, but we rarely talk to the one person who needs it the most, ourselves. And that silence, that inner neglect, it shapes our doubts, our fears, and our destiny. But imagine if for just 7 days you spoke to yourself with the same hope you offer others, the same faith you give your loved ones, the same encouragement you give a child who has fallen and is trying to rise. What could change? What would awaken within you? Let's walk together through 7 life-changing inner conversations. 7 days that can transform your direction, your confidence, and your connection with God. There comes a moment in every person's life when they look into the mirror and wonder if the reflection staring back is truly who they are, or merely who life has forced them to become. We all carry wounds, memories, and mistakes that cling to us like heavy shadows. But my friends, the truth is simple. We are not what we went through. We are what we are becoming. The world may see your past, but God sees your potential. The world may label you by your history, but God calls you by your destiny. And when you begin talking to yourself like a winner, that inner shift begins to break the chains that once held you captive. Every human being has encountered seasons that felt like storms, times when you felt forgotten, overlooked, misunderstood, or defeated. Maybe you made choices you are not proud of. Maybe someone you trusted broke your heart. Maybe an opportunity slipped through your fingers, and you convinced yourself it was because you weren't good enough. But here is something I want you to let sink deeply into your heart. Your scars don't disqualify you. They certify you. They certify that you fought battles people know nothing about. They certify that you survived nights that seemed endless. They certify that you had reasons to quit, but you kept breathing, kept walking, kept praying, kept hoping. There is a strength inside you that even you have not fully met yet. And that strength reveals itself not when life is easy, but when life is unkind. I've met countless people who spent years believing they were unworthy because of past failures. But you know what I've learned? Every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future. Life is not defined by the fall, but by the rise. What matters is not the stories behind you, but the courage right now to write new ones. God does not look at the brokenness and say, "Why are you like this?" He looks at you and whispers, "Watch what I can do with this." Your past is not a verdict, it's a lesson. It's not a prison, it's a classroom. When you fail, you learn. When someone hurts you, you gain wisdom. When you lose something, you gain clarity. Every experience molds you, shapes you, prepares you. Sometimes what you thought was punishment was actually preparation. Sometimes the rejection was redirection. Sometimes the loss was actually liberation. Your heart may not understand it yet, but your future self will thank you for everything that felt difficult, confusing, or unfair. But to unlock that future, you must change the way you speak to yourself. Many people talk to themselves in the harsh language of regret. "I should have known better. I can't recover from this. I'm just not meant for success." If you spoke to your friends this way, you would lose them. Why then speak to your own soul with such discouragement? The voice inside your head should not be your enemy. It should be your guide, your friend, your encourager. The very first step to rising is refusing to insult yourself again. Think of a small child learning to walk. They fall again and again, but nobody scolds them. We cheer for them. We clap when they stand, even if it's wobbly. We tell them, "Try again, you can do it." Imagine if you talk to yourself with that same compassion. You would rise faster. You would grow stronger. You would heal deeper. You are becoming something beautiful. You may not see it in the mirror every morning. Growth often looks like struggle. Healing often looks like confusion. Transformation often looks like chaos before it looks like clarity. But God is working in the unseen parts of your heart. You are being shaped by experiences that once hurt you. You are learning patience through delays, wisdom through disappointments, resilience through difficulties. Nothing is wasted, not a tear, not a night, not a mistake, not a heartbreak. Tell yourself this truth every morning: I am not what happened to me. I am not the mistakes I made. I am not the failures I fear. I am what I am becoming. And what I am becoming is stronger, wiser, kinder, and more purposeful than ever before. That is how a winner speaks. That is how a winner thinks. And when you talk to yourself with that kind of faith, you give God room to work miracles in your life. There is a myth many people believe that winners wake up every day feeling confident, fearless, and ready to conquer the world. But the truth is far gentler, far more human. Winners are not born with fire in their hearts every morning. They are simply the ones who show up even when the fire feels faint. They are the ones who take a step even when their legs shake. They are the ones who keep moving even when the mind whispers, "You're not ready." Think about a seed, a tiny, fragile seed buried beneath heavy soil. It doesn't wait for perfect weather conditions. It doesn't compare its chances to the seed next to it. It doesn't complain that the soil feels too dark, too heavy, or too cold. It simply begins, quietly, slowly, steadily. It pushes through darkness long before it ever sees the light. That is how courage works. Courage is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to rise despite doubt. It is showing up not because everything feels right, but because you know deep down that showing up is the only way anything will ever become right. So many people wait for the perfect moment. When I feel confident, then I'll start. When life settles, then I'll change. When I'm fully healed, then I'll try again. But life doesn't reward those who wait for clarity. Life rewards those who begin with faith. Confidence doesn't lead to action. Action leads to confidence. You don't become ready before the journey. You become ready because of the journey. In my own life, I've met people who were overflowing with ideas, dreams, and talents, yet held themselves back for years because they didn't feel prepared. And I always tell them the same thing. If you wait for readiness, you will wait forever. Readiness is not a feeling, it is a commitment. A commitment to show up, a commitment to try, a commitment to trust that God fills the gaps you cannot fill yourself. There are athletes who didn't feel like training but still tied their shoes. Writers who didn't feel inspired but still wrote a few lines. Parents who felt exhausted but still showed up with love. Students who felt overwhelmed but still studied one chapter at a time. These people are not extraordinary. They are simply consistent. They understand a profound truth. You don't need to feel ready to begin. You need to begin to feel ready. Think of the first time you drove a car. You were nervous. Your hands trembled on the steering wheel. Your mind was filled with what ifs, but you drove anyway. And the more you drove, the more natural it became. That is how everything in life works. The first step feels awkward. The first attempt feels uncomfortable. The first decision feels uncertain. But with time, your spirit learns, your mind adapts, your heart strengthens. Showing up is an act of faith. When you show up, you are telling the universe, "I believe I can grow." You are telling God, "Use me even though I feel small." You are telling yourself, "I deserve to try." And slowly the act of showing up becomes a rhythm, a habit, a lifestyle. Even on the days when you don't feel emotionally strong, mentally sharp, or spiritually uplifted, just being present becomes your victory. There is a quiet magic in consistency. A student who studies even for 10 minutes a day will outperform the one who studies intensely once a month. A person who walks a little every day will become healthier than the one who runs only when they feel motivated. Life rewards persistence more than perfection. And when you speak to yourself each morning, say, "I may not be perfect, but I am present." Speak gently. Speak honestly. Remind yourself that great transformations begin with small, imperfect steps. The extraordinary begins with ordinary effort. The remarkable begins with showing up. You don't have to have everything figured out. Nobody does. You don't have to move mountains. Just take one step and the next. And he sees the future you cannot imagine. And he whispers, "Keep going, I am with you." So talk to yourself through that same lens of love. Remind yourself that failure does not make you unworthy. Mistakes do not erase your value. Setbacks do not define your identity. Winners are not people who never fall. They are people who never let the fall become the final chapter. When you speak to yourself, choose words that uplift your spirit. Instead of saying, "I'm such a failure," say, "I'm still learning." Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, say, God is shaping me every day. Instead of saying, I'm stuck, say, I'm growing, even if I don't see it yet. The language you use becomes the lens through which you see your entire life. There are moments when your inner voice will be the only voice you hear. In those sacred moments, let that voice be kind. Let it be hopeful. Let it be faith-driven. Talk to yourself the way God talks to you, gently, firmly, lovingly, truthfully. Speak encouragement into your fears. Speak blessing into your insecurities. Speak possibility into your doubts. You cannot control the opinions of others, but you can shape the conversation within your own soul. God does not dwell on your mistakes. He focuses on your comeback. He doesn't obsess over your weaknesses. He strengthens you through them. He doesn't compare you to others. He calls you by name. When you align your self-talk with His voice, the world around you begins to change. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because your spirit becomes stronger. One of the most powerful things you can tell yourself is this: if God believes in me, why should I doubt myself? Say it with conviction. Say it until it becomes your new truth. Say it until your insecurities lose their power. Say it until your heart trusts what your mind doesn't fully understand. You are not walking alone. You are guided, supported, and loved far more than you realize. When you learn to speak to yourself like God speaks to you, you don't just feel better, you become better. You begin living like someone who is cherished, chosen, and capable of rising beyond anything that once held them back. That is how winners speak. That is how winners think. And that is how winners rise. There comes a point in life when you realize something very important. Not every race you see is meant to be yours. Not every lane is meant for your feet. Not every pace is meant for your breath. But the world around us keeps shouting, compare yourself, compete, chase what others have. And slowly, without even noticing, our hearts begin to run races that drain us, confuse us, and pull us away from the person we were born to become. Comparison is one of the silent killers of joy. It sneaks in when we scroll through social media. It whispers when we see someone achieve something before us. It stings when someone else gets the recognition we quietly hoped for. And before we know it, we start doubting our journey. We start questioning our timing. We start thinking, maybe I'm behind, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm failing. But the truth is simple. Life is not a competition, it is a contribution. Your purpose is not to outrun others, it is to outperform your own excuses. Winners don't look sideways, they look inward, they look upward, they look forward. They understand that the only person they truly need to be better than is the version of themselves they were yesterday. Think of a garden. In the same soil you will find roses, lilies, sunflowers, and lotus flowers. They don't compare themselves. The sunflower doesn't wish to be a rose. The rose doesn't feel insecure next to the lotus. Each flower blooms in its own time, with its own fragrance, in its own beauty. Life is no different. Your journey has its own timeline. Your heart has its own rhythm. Your destiny has its own design. Just because someone blooms before you does not mean you won't bloom at all. And just because someone blooms differently does not mean your bloom will be any less beautiful. When you compare yourself to others, you forget who God made you to be. You forget your own gifts, your own strengths, your own blessings. You forget that you are running a race uniquely designed for your growth. Comparing yourself is like trying to fit into someone else's shoes. They may look nice, but they will never carry you comfortably to where you're meant to go. The real battle in life is not with other people. It is with your own procrastination, your own fears, your own doubts. The real race is against the voice inside you that keeps saying, not yet, not now, not you. But when you decide to outrun your excuses, you become unstoppable. Imagine waking up tomorrow and saying, today I will not compete, I will improve. Instead of asking, why am I not like them? You ask, how can I be a better version of me? Instead of saying, they are ahead, you say, I am further than I was last year. Instead of envying someone else's progress, you celebrate your own. You begin to notice small victories. You begin to appreciate small improvements. You begin to recognize that every step forward, even the small ones, are steps toward who you are meant to be. The truth is, comparison blinds you to your blessings, but improvement opens your eyes to your possibilities. When you stop trying to win someone else's race and start focusing on your own, peace comes. Confidence grows. Gratitude deepens. Purpose becomes clearer. And here is the spiritual truth that changes everything. God never compares you to anyone else. He never says, look at them, be like them. He says, I made you, I shaped you. I have a path for you that does not require you to compete with anybody. Once you understand that your life has divine timing, divine pacing, and divine purpose, you stop running faster and you start running wiser. There will always be someone ahead of you and someone behind you. But none of them are running your race. Your tests, your lessons, your struggles, your blessings, they are uniquely yours. And the reward God has prepared for you will never be given to someone else. So talk to yourself like a winner. My race is mine. My pace is mine. My grace is mine. Say it with conviction. Say it until it becomes truth in your spirit. Say it until your heart stops comparing and starts appreciating. You are not late. You are not slow. You are exactly where you are meant to be. Learning what you need to learn. Becoming who you are meant to become. Winners don't compete. They improve. Winners don't compare. They grow. Winners don't run to be better than others. They run to be better for God, better for themselves, better for the world they are called to serve. So run your race with faith. Run your race with purpose. Run your race knowing that the journey is preparing you for blessings that comparison could never give you. There are weights we carry that are heavier than stone, heavier than metal, heavier than any burden our hands could ever lift. These weights don't sit on our shoulders, they sit in our hearts. Old grudges, unresolved pain, people who disappointed us, memories we revisit but never heal from, fears we keep feeding, expectations that went unfulfilled. And sometimes, without realizing it, we move through life dragging these invisible burdens, wondering why our spirit feels tired even on days when our body is well rested. Letting go is one of the hardest things a human heart can do. We want closure, we want apologies, we want justice, we want things to make sense. But life isn't always linear. Not every story wraps itself neatly. Not every wound receives the apology it deserves. And waiting for everything to be perfect before you release the past only binds you more tightly to what hurt you in the first place. Some people remain in our minds long after they leave our lives. Some situations keep replaying in our hearts long after they end. Some fears, even without evidence, keep overlapping our present with shadows from our past. But my dear friend, you cannot walk toward your future while holding hands with old pain. At some point, you must unclench the fist around your heart and say, this no longer belongs inside me. A winner is not someone who carries everything. A winner is someone who carries only what matters. Imagine climbing a mountain with a backpack filled with stones. Every stone represents something heavy from your past. One for regret, one for anger, one for disappointment, one for self-blame, one for betrayal. The higher you try to climb, the more the weight pulls you backward. But the moment you let go of even one stone, the journey becomes lighter. If you release 3 stones, your legs feel freer. If you release all of them, suddenly your climb transforms into something possible, maybe even beautiful. That's what happens when you let go. You rediscover your strength. You rediscover your peace. You rediscover yourself. Forgiveness is not about saying what they did was okay. It's about declaring that their actions will no longer control your emotions. Letting go does not mean forgetting the lesson. It means releasing the emotional poison while keeping the wisdom. Holding on to pain does not punish the person who hurt you. It punishes you. The people who cause the wound often move on, but the ones who carry the wound suffer long after the moment has passed. Sometimes we hold on because we think we are being strong. But in truth, letting go is the real strength. Holding on is instinct. Letting go is evolution. Holding on is survival. Letting go is liberation. There are fears too, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. And fear has a way of tying knots around our hearts, making every step feel uncertain, making every choice feel risky. But imagine what would happen if you replaced fear with trust. Trust that God is guiding you. Trust that life has seasons. Trust that the things meant for you cannot pass you. Trust that even the losses are part of a divine redirection. When you release what weighs you down, your hands become free to receive what is coming. When you let go of bitterness, joy has room to bloom. When you let go of fear, courage enters quietly. When you let go of the wrong people, the right people have space to find you. Letting go is not a single decision, it is a daily practice. Some days you'll feel at peace, and other days the memories will return. But each time you choose peace over pressure, you grow. Each time you choose healing over hurting, you strengthen your soul. Each time you choose trust over fear, heaven applauds quietly. Tell yourself, I choose peace over pressure. Say it gently, say it truthfully, say it until your heart believes it. God did not design your spirit to be buried under unnecessary burdens. He designed you to walk lightly, to breathe freely, to live purposefully. The journey ahead of you needs a lighter heart, a freer mind, a calmer spirit. Leave behind what weakens you. Carry only what strengthens you. Because everything you let go creates space for something greater to enter your life. In a world that glorifies big achievements and dramatic transformations, we often overlook the quiet miracles happening within us every single day. We are so focused on giant leaps that we forget the sacred beauty of small steps. We ignore the subtle progress, the gentle shifts, the tiny victories that silently build our future. And yet those are the moments that truly shape us. Those are the moments where growth actually happens. Winners understand something simple. Success is not made of big moments. It is built from countless small ones. Think of the sunrise. It doesn't burst into the sky in one sudden explosion of light. It rises slowly, minute by minute, almost unnoticeably. But by the time it reaches full brightness, the world looks completely different. That is how your growth works. Every small effort, every small improvement, every small discipline is a ray of light slowly transforming your life. But most people dismiss these moments. They think drinking one glass of water instead of another soda is meaningless. They think reading 10 pages of a book is too small to make a difference. They think saying one prayer, writing one sentence, doing one push-up, taking one walk, or resisting one negative thought has no real impact. Yet, these tiny steps are exactly what build massive change over time. Every winner you admire today began with small, invisible actions. The athlete who stands on a podium once struggled to run a single mile. The musician who plays beautifully once struggled to hold the instrument correctly. The speaker who inspires millions once struggled to say a sentence without fear. Nobody begins at the finish line. They reach it because they honored small beginnings. There is a deep humility in celebrating small wins. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you grateful. It keeps you growing. When you acknowledge even the smallest progress, you align yourself with the rhythm of steady improvement rather than the pressure of perfection. Imagine a child learning to tie their shoes. The first time they try, they fail. The second time, they fail again. But one day, they get half of it right. And the parent claps with joy. Not because the shoelace looks perfect, but because progress happened. You must learn to clap for yourself in the same way. Celebrate the half wins. Celebrate the almost wins. Celebrate the quiet courage of showing up again. There is a story of a man who wanted to change his life but felt overwhelmed. So he began with a simple rule: do one thing today that makes you better than yesterday. Some days he exercised for 5 minutes. Some days he read one page. Some days he avoided saying something hurtful. Some days he smiled at a stranger. None of these things seemed huge alone. But months later, his life had transformed. And not because he made one big shift, but because he honored 1,000 tiny ones. This is the secret. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. A single workout won't change your body. A single prayer won't transform your spiritual journey. A single healthy meal won't redefine your lifestyle. But repeated over time, these small actions compound into great results. God blesses effort, not perfection. He sees the days when you try hard even if nobody notices. He sees the quiet victories you win in the privacy of your mind. He sees the small decisions you make out of faith, discipline, and integrity. In his eyes, No step is too small if it is taken with sincerity. Celebrate yourself when you choose kindness over anger. Celebrate yourself when you control your tongue instead of reacting. Celebrate yourself when you wake up a little earlier, work a little harder, rest a little deeper. Celebrate yourself when you give your best, even if your best looks small to the world. These are not minor moments, they are sacred ones. And remind yourself every day, every step forward is sacred. Even the steps nobody applauds, even the steps nobody sees, even the steps that feel too small to matter. Because one day, you will look behind you and realize that those tiny steps carried you farther than you ever imagined. A winner is not someone who makes a giant leap once. A winner is someone who takes small, faithful steps again and again and again. So honor your small wins. Cherish them, celebrate them. They are the bricks that build your greatness. There is a certain peace that enters your life the moment you decide to live with gratitude, purpose, and trust. These three qualities are like anchors for the soul. Gratitude roots you in the present. Purpose guides you toward the future. And trust connects you to something far greater than yourself. When these three come together, even an ordinary day becomes extraordinary. Gratitude is more than a feeling. It is a lens through which you see the world. It gently shifts your attention from what is missing to what is present, from what is broken to what is still beautiful, from what hurts to what heals. Many people wait for big blessings before they feel grateful. But winners know that gratitude does not come from abundance. Abundance comes from gratitude. If today you have breath in your lungs, say thank you. If you had one meaningful conversation, say thank you. If a stranger smiled at you, if you learned something new, if you grew even slightly, if you faced a challenge and didn't give up, say thank you. Gratitude turns small moments into divine gifts. It transforms pressure into peace. It softens your heart and opens your eyes. Even on the days that feel heavy, gratitude whispers, there is still light here, look again. Purpose is the second pillar. Purpose does not mean having everything figured out. It does not mean knowing the entire path ahead. Purpose simply means living intentionally, waking up and deciding that your life has meaning, choosing to be someone who contributes rather than complains, someone who lifts others up rather than brings them down, someone who grows each day rather than stays stuck in yesterday. Purpose gives direction to your energy. It gives meaning to your efforts. It gives focus to your thoughts. Some people drift through life like leaves in the wind, moving with whatever gust life blows their way. But when you live with purpose, you become the wind. You move with intention. You choose how to show up. You choose what to give your time to. You choose which voices to listen to and which to let go of. Purpose is not something you find once. It is something you choose every day. In the smile you give a stranger, in the patience you practice at home, in the kindness you show even when it's hard, in the discipline you maintain when nobody is watching. Purpose flows through small actions that echo louder than big words. And then comes trust. The third pillar. Trust in God, trust in life, trust in timing, trust in the unseen. Trust does not mean you will always understand what is happening. It does not mean your path will always be smooth. It does not mean you will never feel afraid. Trust simply means believing that you are guided, even when the road feels uncertain. It means knowing that life is unfolding in a way that is ultimately good for your growth, even if it doesn't make sense right now. There are moments when everything goes according to plan, and there are moments when everything falls apart. But the key is to remember that God works in ways beyond our understanding. Sometimes He delays something because the timing is not right. Sometimes He removes something because it will harm us later. Sometimes He shakes our lives because we have become too comfortable in places we were meant to outgrow. Trust means surrendering the illusion of control and allowing divine wisdom to guide the journey. When you combine gratitude, purpose, and trust, something powerful awakens inside you. You begin to live from a place of calm strength. You stop panicking about the future. You stop punishing yourself for the past. You stop comparing your journey to others. You feel grounded, centered, steady. Gratitude reminds you that today is a gift. Purpose reminds you that you matter. And trust reminds you that you are never alone. Together, they create a mindset that cannot be shaken easily. Challenges may come, but they won't crush you. Delays may happen, but they won't discourage you. Losses may hurt, but they won't destroy you. Because you know, deeply know, that God is shaping something meaningful within you. Tell yourself every morning, I am guided, I am protected, I am becoming who I was meant to be. Say it softly on days you feel strong. Say it firmly on days you feel weak. Say it until the words are no longer just sounds, but truths carved into your spirit. This is how a winner speaks. This is how a winner thinks. This is how a winner lives. Not in fear, not in doubt, but in gratitude, purpose, and trust. My dear friends, remember this. Life doesn't change when the world praises you. Life changes when your heart believes in you. Talk to yourself with faith, walk your path with gratitude, and take every step with purpose. And trust this divine truth. When you do your part with sincerity, God will do His part with grace. Your journey may not always be easy, but it will always be meaningful. Don't wait for confidence to begin. Begin with faith, and confidence will follow. Because the moment you believe you are guided, you no longer walk, you rise.